Chapter 7 The Psychology of the Dream Processes. The dream process is, to begin with, admitted as a wish fulfillment of the unconscious. But if this attempted wish fulfillment disturbs the preconscious so profoundly that the latter can no longer maintain its state of rest, the dream has broken the compromise and has failed to perform the second part of its task. It is then at once broken off and replaced by complete awakening. But even here it is not really the fault of the dream if, though at other times the guardian, it has now to appear at the disturb of sleep, nor need this prejudice us against its word purposive character. This is not the only instance in the organism in which a contrivance that is usually to the purpose becomes inappropriate and disturbing so soon as something is alerted in the conditions which engender it. The disturbance then at all events serves the new purpose of indicating the change and of bringing into play against it the means of adjustment of the organism. Here, of course, I'm thinking of the anxiety dream, and lest it should seem that I try to invade this witness against the theory of wish fulfillment whenever I encounter it. I will at least give some indications as to the explanation of the anxiety dream. The dream process is, to begin with, admitted as a wish fulfillment of the unconscious. But if this attempted wish fulfillment disturbs the preconscious so profoundly that the latter can no longer maintain its state of rest, the dream has broken the compromise and has failed to perform the second part of its task. It is then at once broken off and replaced by complete awakening. But even here it is not really the fault of the dream if, though at other times the guardian, it has now to appear at the disturber of sleep, nor need this prejudice of us against its purposive character. This is not the only instance in the organism in which a contrivance that is usually to the purpose becomes inappropriate and disturbing as soon as something is altered in the conditions which engender it. The disturbance then, or at all events, serves the new purpose of indicating the change and of bringing into play against it the meaning of the adjustment of the organism. Here, of course, I'm thinking of the anxiety dream, and lest it should seem that I try to invade this witness against the theory of wish fulfillment whenever I encounter it. I will at least give some indications as to the explanation of the anxiety dream. That a psychic process which develops anxiety may still be a wish fulfillment has long ceased to imply a contradiction for us. We may explain this occurrence by the fact that the wish belongs to one system, whereas the other system has rejected and suppressed it. The subjection of the UCS by the PACS is not thoroughgoing, even in perfect psychic health. The extent of this suppress indicates the degree of our psychic normality. Neurotic symptoms indicate to us that the two systems are in mutual conflicts. The symptoms are the results of a compromise in this conflict, and they temporarily put an end to it. On the one hand, they afford the UCS a way out for the discharge of its excitation. They serve it as kind of surrogate, while on the other hand, they give the PCS the possibility of dominating the UCS in some degree. It is instructive to consider, for example, the significance of high hysterical phobia or of agoraphobia, a neurotic is said to be incapable of crossing the street alone, and this should rightly call a symptom. Let someone now remove this symptom by constraining him to this action which he deems himself incapable of performing. The result will be an attack of anxiety, just as an attack of anxiety in the street has often been the exciting cause of establishment of an agoraphobia. We thus learn that the symptom has been constituted in order to prevent the anxiety from breaking out. The phobia is thrown up before the anxiety like a frontier fortress. That a psychic process which develops anxiety may still be a wish fulfillment has long ceased to imply a contradiction for us. We may explain this occurrence by the fact that the wish belongs to one system, whereas the other system has rejected and suppressed it. The subjection of the UCS by the PCS is not thoroughgoing even in perfect psychic health. The extent of this suppress indicates the degree of our psychic normality. Neurotic symptoms indicate to us that the two systems are in mutual conflict. The symptoms are the result of the compromise in this conflict, and they temporarily put an end to it. On the one hand, they afford the UCS a way out for the discharge of its excitation. They serve it as a kind of surrogate, while on the other hand, they give the PCS the possibility of dominating the UCS in some degree. It is instructive to consider, for example, the significance of a hysterophobia or the agoraphobia. A neurotic is said to be incapable of crossing the street alone, and this we should rightly call a symptom. Let someone now remove this symptom by constraining him to this action, which he deems himself incapable of performing. The result will be attack of anxiety, just as an attack of anxiety in the street has often been the exciting cause of the establishment of an agoraphobia. We thus learn that the symptom has been constituted in order to prevent the anxiety from the breakout. The phobia is thrown up before the anxiety like a frontier fortress. We cannot enlarge further on this subject unless we examine the role of the effects in these processes, which can only be done here imperfectly. We will therefore affirm the proposition that the principal reason why the suppression of the UCS becomes necessary is that if the movement of ideas in the UCS were allowed to run its courses, it would develop an affect which originally had the character of pleasure, but which, since the process of repression bears the character of pain, the aim, as well as the result of the suppression, is to prevent the development of this pain. The suppression extends to the ideal content of the UCS because the liberation of the pain might emanation from this ideal content. We here take as our base a quite definite assumption as to the nature of the development of affect. This is regarded as a motor or secretory function, the key to the innovation of which is to be found in the idea of the UCS. Throughout the domination of the PCS, these ideas are as it were strangled, that is, inhibited from sending out the impulses that would develop the effect. The danger which arises if Cathy acts by the PCS ceased, thus consists in the fact that the unconscious excitation would liberate an effect that, in consequence of the repression that has previously occurred, could only be felt as pain or anxiety. We cannot enlarge further on this subject useless. We examine the role of the affects in these processes, which can only be done here imperfectly. We will therefore affirm the proposition that the principal reason why the suppression of the UCS becomes necessarily is that if the movement of ideas in the UCS were allowed to run its course, it could develop an effect which originally had the character of pleasure, but which, since the processes of repression, bears the character of pain. The aim, as well as the result of the suppression, is to prevent the development of this pain. The suppression extends to the ideal content of the UCS, because the liberation of the main might emanate